All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. So thank you for being with us today. My name is Daniel Olano. I'll be your animator today. I'll be presenting the content that was already presented on the webinar of this Tuesday and this Thursday in French. So for those who already have participated to that webinar, it will be the same content. And the content today will be an overview of what it entails to do a teleconsultation. And also we're going to present you the main features of Zoom. But it's a general view. We will be having other webinars that will be more specific into some actions in Zoom. So today I'm joined with Dominique Roy from SUS de l'Estrie, telehealth clinical coordinator, also with Marie Alliot, telehealth clinical coordinator of McGill, and I'm also joined with Marie-Claude Bray, telehealth clinical coordinator of the CHUM. So today, together we'll be able to answer all of your questions that you have for us today, and I will invite you to look at your screen. When you move your cursor, there will be a menu that will appear, and one of the button is the Q&A. If you have a question for during this webinar, use that button to submit your question, and our team will be able to answer the questions live. And also, I want to let you know there is a question and answer period at the end of the webinar. So that being said, let's start. So I will share my screen. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing about the training context, why we're doing this, the key messages of the MSSS. We're also going to explain how to conduct a telehealth encounter through Zoom. I will discuss, will present you the Quebec Telehealth Network website, which is brand new and just launched last week. And we will have the questions, and also we'll share with you the next steps to follow in this big endeavor. So the context. Um, okay. So for telehealth, just gonna let you know that right now in Quebec there is a telehealth is a provincial organization, and so there's four RUIS and four coordination centers: CHUM, McGill, Sherbrooke, and Laval. So I'm not gonna go too much into details. It's not the point today, but just to let you know, it is a provincial organization. Really, the main point of focus is right now we have a current situation that it's affecting everybody. And with this situation, we have begun a massive rollout of licenses at a very rapid scale and a rapid pace. So you have to understand that everything that we're presenting to you today, it's being really set up in less than 14 days. So it is something that will be a continuous improvement. But in order to do so, we do need your feedback. So I will invite you to please answer the survey at the end of the webinar. I believe my colleagues are also putting in the chat the survey to the link right now. So please, your input is very valuable for us to be able to adapt this content, and because it's for everybody in the province that will be starting to do the teleconsultations. And also, I want to reiterate the fact that I started the discussion saying it is a provincial telehealth organization. And what I mean by that is that in each establishment, you all have a telehealth clinical pilot and a telehealth technology pilot. They are responsible to foster the telehealth initiative within your establishments, and they are the person that are that are the best guy suited to help you in the organization and deployment at your establishment, because we do not pretend at any point to know your reality. Each establishment has their own culture, has their own reality. So what we're going to be exposing today, it's a general practice, but if you really want to go, if you want to know exactly how to deploy it, how to adapt it, please contact your telehealth clinical pilot that will be able to accompany you in the process. And also, we are in regular contact with your pilots. We have a provincial roundtable and forum where we discuss openly about our every weekly items now at the right now. So that's for the context. The key messages. So the first key message that I really want to bring you forward is that teleconsultation or virtual teleconsultation should not be your first thought. It's really, if you can prioritize follow up with your patients by phone calls, please do so. So if you're a professional, ask yourself, is seeing the patient necessary to complete your assessment or to do a clinical follow up? If it's not, then follow up, do your follow ups with calls. And there are many considerations for that. One of them is that we understand it's new technologies for everybody, for the clinical for the health professional, and also for the patient. So I think by now we're all very familiar with the phones. So this is really the main way to do your follow-ups if you can. And if that's not an option, that's where today's webinar will come in handy to let you know how to do so. The other key message is that you will need a verbal consent from your patient. Before the whole global sanitary issue problem pandemic, we were requiring to have a written consent of the patient. This is no longer the case, so you can have a verbal consent. Just please note on your documents that the patient has consented, and you have to also specify which modality did they use. Was it Zoom? Was it Teams or React? So those are the key messages I really want to bring forward. So this is the one example of a verbal patient consent. We will be displaying this as well online. So you will find this online in our toolbox that we have created for you. So you don't need to be writing this down. Also, just to remember, this presentation will be made available to you as well. And also this webinar is being recorded as well. So if you have to leave at any point in this webinar, it's don't worry, you'll be able to consult the entirety of this webinar online. And again, I will point you to where to find all this on the websites I will give you after. So, conducting a telehealth encounter. We will go. I will go through the before, the during, and the after process. So, what is important to know before a telehealth encounter? First, you have to determine if the patient is eligible for an encounter. What I mean by that is you have to make sure the patient has a device. So, what device do they need? It could be a tablet, and when I mean tablet, it could be an Android tablet, it could be an iOS tablet or an Apple tablet, it could be a PC, a Macintosh. Any device right now is good as long as it has a microphone and a webcam. And also, the patient must have internet at home. They don't need to have the high-speed internet. Zoom is one of the lightest solutions out there in terms of bandwidth consumption. Uh, but if they have internet at home, at least let's say a 10 megabits per second internet, and again, those technical details, you will have it online. Make sure that the patient has sufficient technological proficiency, and that's very another key point. So those are new technologies. It's not everybody who's at ease with these technologies. Those who have been doing Skype, who have done other video conference solutions on the personally. So for them, this will be a very easy introduction. For others, it's not going to be the case. So it's really up to you to determine who will be best suited. And the best way to do so is for you to actually use the solution beforehand. So I would really strongly advise test drive the solution, do some meetings with your colleagues, and gain that confidence that you need before you actually start to plan virtual visits with your patients. So I know we already have deployed the licenses. Some of you already have Zoom license, but it's very important for you to be at ease with the technology. And some of you will go fast, some of you will go at other paces. It's okay. Everybody has their pace. Just consult the online training material that we have for you and do your tests, and it's gonna be all right. And also, before the telehealth encounter, you have to obtain a patient consent. Again, it's a verbal patient consent. So, in terms of planning a Zoom meeting, that's something that you have to do before as well. What does it entails? So, and here, I'm sorry, the screenshots are in French. We will try to, once we're going to be publishing the PowerPoint, I'll try to have the English screenshots available to you then. But what you can see, this is the web interface of Zoom. So how do you access it? You will have to go to msss.zoom.us, and you're going to hear me repeat this a lot of times today, msss.zoom.us. msss.zoom.us. It's really your one stop if you want to access your Zoom meetings. And also, if you go to that, you will have quick access to your online material. So once you log in, you're going to go in meetings in the menu on the left, and then you're going to be able to schedule a meeting. And what do you need to know to what do you need to actually have as a mandatory field for scheduling a meeting? It's not a lot. So basically, you need the topic, and you need the date, the time, the duration. That's about it. That's the about all the fields that you need mandatory to fill in. However, word of caution, and it's a good, I'll do a pause here. The license that we are giving to you are a Zoom telehealth license. What do we mean by Zoom telehealth is that contrarily to Zoom Pro and Zoom Free, the Zoom telehealth license has a legal contract behind it that will enforce the data privacy between Zoom and the client, being the MSSS. So you are being protected whenever you use Zoom telehealth of the MSSS. You are protecting your patient's confidentiality information, their consultation. This is not a protection that you will have in the Zoom Pro and the Zoom Free. And for us today, for the people who are with us today, that are doctors, the Collège des Médecins, they have made available a document on the 31st of March, stipulating that all teleconsultations must either be done with MSS, with the Zoom telehealth, or with Reax. So those are for the doctors. So those are that. For the other health professionals, refer to your health organizations to orders to know what is the directive. But just know that the Zoom licenses, there is a protection with it. So that being said, in the topic, very important, do not put the patient name, do not put the patient ID or whatever RAMQ card, because otherwise you're just going to circumvent all the legal protection and everything. It's there to protect the anonymity, but if you put the patient information on the subject, then you're basically going around it. So please just put your topic, but no information about the patient. You could put the name of the doctor, but no information about the patient, please. The date and the duration. In terms of the duration, just know that it's there mostly as a, as a guideline. In Zoom, if you have here in the example, your meeting starts at 12 and it's a duration of 1 hour. What happens after 1 hour 10, 1 hour 20? If the host is still in the meeting will not stop. So that's very important to know. So your meeting will only stop whenever the host will end the meeting. So that's very important, and it's more even so important for those who are sharing Zoom licenses. So it's a modality that's accepted. So But for those who share a Zoom license that we call a generic license, so within a department, you might have a Zoom Virtual 1 and Zoom Virtual 2, for example. Just know if you do decide to share your license, you must have an internal organizational in terms of handling your schedule. Otherwise, you will run the risk of having one Zoom license that was supposed to finish in 1 hour, but they ran more than 1 hour, and the other meeting will not be able to start. So please make sure you always have padding between the meetings whenever you're sharing license, because you never know what's going to happen. So leave yourself enough padding time. How much, I don't know, it really depends on your reality of the on your clinics. You're the one who know best what is the allotted time that you would need between each meeting. So that's that. Just gonna let you know that the password, you can decide to have a password for your meetings with your patient, but if you don't decide to have a password, it's okay, because just know that by default the waiting room is activated, and this is not something you can uncheck. The waiting room for teleconsultation is going to be activated, and it's really to protect you. Again, you don't want to have intrusions in your consultation. And it's also with the waiting room, you'll be able to admit the patient when you need to do so, and you're going to be the one choosing which patient to admit. So depending, that's really useful if you have a clinic with multiple patients that running one after the other. But even patient one on one, with the waiting room, you'll be able to admit the patient at the time that you are ready. So once you have filled in all these fields, then you'll be able to save your meeting, and that's it. So I'm just going to recap. Whenever you create a meeting, all you need basically is the topic, no patient identification in there, the date, the time, and the duration. And once you have created your meeting, then you will be presented with this screen. And this is where you can actually share the URL. So this is the link that you can share to your patients. And I know many of you have this question. It is like, I don't want the patient to, because how will you share that link? It's really up to you. You could use your Outlook, but I understand if you use your Outlook and you share that link to your patient, then basically your patient has access to your email of work. And obviously some of you are for some of you, this is not something that you would want. So this is where the organizational within the clinic, within the department, is something that's really you have to think about. Some of you may have a person in the department that handles all the meetings. So that person, you could easily give this URL to your person in your team, and they will be the ones sending this information to the patient. So really depends up to you how you will share this meeting. And once you have that, you can also decide to click on copy the invitation, because if you copy the invitation, then we have created for you, we have already created a template. So it's a template with all useful information that you can easily give to your patients. So we give them the date, the time, and also we give them the step-by-step what they need to do before the meeting. They have to install the app, they have to consult the patient toolkit. We give them useful information to connect beforehand. So if you want to use our pre-built template, all you need to do is click on copy the invitation, and you will have all the information there. So it's there for you if you want to use it. Otherwise, you can just use this link and copy it in an email, and you decide what to provide to your patient. So that being said, what are the prerequisites to ensure a successful encounter? Um, so number one, and before I go into this slide, I just want to to let you know, this is all the information. Again, if you inform your patient to go to msss.zoom.us, once they go there, they'll be able to click on I am a patient, and then again they will have access to all this information. So what are the prerequisites? They also gonna have the information on how to use Zoom, etc. So there's a lot of useful information for a patient. All you need to give them is msss.zoom.us. They don't need to have a Zoom license. And from there, they click I am a patient, and they will be able to access this information. So um, uh, your patient, when once they're going to be doing the consultation, they have to access a from a site where it's confidential. So so no coffee shops, even though now it's all closed. Just they have to access from a confidential site. Also, and this is a useful tip not only for the patients but also for the healthcare professionals, is please use a headset if you can. And at the minimum, use earbuds, or use a just headset without the microphone. But really, the use of headphones is gonna is gonna really impact the success of your consultation. We had many issues of people using the laptop speakers, and the problem that's going to happen is the speaker is going to push the voice to the microphone, and then you're going to start to hear those echoes. And I'm pretty sure some of you have participated to some already virtual meetings, and a lot of echoes. How come you hear a lot of echoes? There's a lot of annoying sound as well. How do you fix that? If everybody in the meeting had a headset, you would not have that issue. So please have a headset. If not, at the strict minimum, have just headphones without the microphones. You can use your microphone of the webcam, but don't use your speakers, please. So that's that. The ambient light. So your patient, if you have decided to see your patient with this modality, is because you want to see your patient. So in order to see your patient is important for them, for their webcam to not be facing a exterior window, because otherwise you will see your patients all dark. You won't be able to see them properly, depending if it's really, really sunny outside or not. So how to avoid that? Well, the patient should close the curtains, or move the webcam, or actually just use another room if they can. But again, this is a key point for the patient to remember. Take note of the ambient light that's there. And also, in the case that we are in today, there's a lot of people that are at home with their kids, with their siblings, etc. So there's more people at home using the internet. So this is something to remember, because the patient, whenever they're going to have their virtual visit, it's important for them to make sure that no other people are using Netflix. There's no other people that are doing gaming online, because all of those activities are very data heavy on the data consumption, and may impact the quality, the video or the audio quality of your encounter. And also the background noise. So again, more people in the houses could have more noises. The patient must know that in order for you to be able to hear them properly, they have to make sure that there's not a lot of noise. It could be the TV, the radio, the fan. So all these are points for the patients to remember in order to maximize your quality of the encounter with them. I just want to make a quick also pause. Is another key point to ensure the quality and the success of your virtual meetings is as well is for you, the health professional, to be prepared. So usually when we do a rollout, we have a deployment, and the deployment, it's not only giving you a license, but also making sure that everybody in the team knows how to use the license, and know what are the best practice in terms of the organizational aspect. So in telehealth, there's always three aspects: the clinical, the technology, and the organizational. Very important. And again, this is something that only you can really know how to adapt the solution within your clinical workflow. We can help you. There's the telehealth clinical coordinator that can help you as well. But you're the one who knows the reality of the context of your usage. So just make sure that you handle that aspect of the organizational before you start using virtual encounters with your patients. Also, in terms of for your patients and for you as well, just note that you can go on zoom.us/test. So for those who want to have a test drive with whether you don't have a license or whether you have a license but you want to do a test and you want to do it now without the use of another colleague, you can perfectly do a test by yourself. You go on zoom.us/test. Again, you don't need a license, and it's going to launch the application. You're going to actually be able to go into a meeting, and nobody else will be in the meeting but you're going to have access to all the buttons, and you will see yourself. You're going to be able to test your microphone, etc. So it's a very useful tool. And again, the patient also, in the patient side of the msss.zoom.us, there is a button for them to do a Zoom test. And again, with all this information that we're giving to your patient, it's very important for you to give them time to consult this document before you schedule a visit with them. So if you want to meet your patient, don't schedule it for this afternoon. It won't be enough time for them to consult the documents. Give them at least a day for them to go online, read the best practice, download the application. They don't need to do so, but they can download already and do a test drive if they want. It's just that the better prepared they are, the more chances you're putting on your side. So during an encounter, how it's going to happen is you go online on msss.zoom.us. For those who don't know, just bookmark that page because it's going to be a very page that you're going to go often and often. Bookmark that page, msss.zoom.us. Once you go there, you're going to go on your meetings, and next to your meeting that you want to start, there's going to be a button start. So you start the meeting, and you will see. Then you'll be able to admit people from your waiting room to your virtual consultation. Once you start your virtual consultation with a patient, remember to tell them if you have a backup plan in case of a failure. And that's very useful if, let's say, you already done 80% of the virtual visit by video, and then all of a sudden the patient gets disconnected. But if you previously stated to your patient how to communicate with you if that happens, then at least you can finish up your virtual consult by phone, for example, or any other method that you would decide. So now we're going to go into all the components of Zoom, and to do that, we're going to be using a online tool that we have created for you. It won't be long. So share. So you can. How do you access this virtual? It's a interactive presentation. So you've been hearing me saying over and over the msss.zoom.us. What is it? It's this page. This is the page you're going to see. So you have help professional and you have I am a patient. If it's your patient, they're going to go in the patient section, and from there they're going to be able to to read the training kit, to join you as well. But most important is really the training kit. There's the how to do the test drive. There's going to be document and videos for them. If it's for you, then again, you're going to have access to quick buttons. So you're going to be able to directly schedule a meeting, start a meeting, or join a meeting of a colleague. And again, you would have all the information that we were sharing today: the training, the interactive training, and the test drive. In terms of the interactive training, it's this one here. Wait, I closed it. Sorry. So it's this one here. All right. So this for now it's in French. I'm sorry for that, but we're going to be working it to make it in English as well. But it gives you an overview of what the Zoom interface has. So on the lower left, you would have the microphone button. If you click on it, then your microphone is either on or off, and it's the same for your webcam. So it's the camera button, and you will be able to also invite people, ad hoc by clicking on invite. So maybe you want to invite another colleague and make it a multidisciplinary meeting all of a sudden. You would have access to your participant who's in your waiting room by clicking participant. The green button is the button to be able to share your screen. This is very useful, maybe for some type of clinical domains, maybe speech therapy. It could be, you're sharing a screen to the patient, and at the same time you're sharing the sound, and then you want the patient to click on the image in the screen that makes the sound. That could be a useful tool for that. You would have the chat. So in the chat, it's useful if you want to share a clinical protocol to your patients. You copy and paste it there, and then your patient will be able to have it. You can also share links. It could be links for your patient to consult for the better care. So that you can use the chat function for that instead of saying verbally, well, www and all that. And if you want to finish your meeting, and it's really here, you would have the end meeting. But let's go a bit into more of a scenario. Uh, so we're going to start the interactive training. So here we have a patient named Florence Tremblay. She came into the waiting room. So you will have this pop-up. So either you can admit the patient directly, or you could go and see who's in the patient room. So if you go in the waiting room, sorry, then you will see Florence Tremblay. Again, you would have the button either admit or supprimer. But be careful. If you click on remove, then the patient will be removed from the waiting room, and more importantly, the patient will not be able to join again with the same link that they were given with. But at the end of your consultation, you want to click on remove so that the patient, you finish the consultation with them. So you remove the patient, and then you're going to admit another patient. And but again, the patients who are being removed, they will not be able to join again. They will not be able to come again in the waiting room. You have finished their consultation, and then you have to plan another visit with them. I'm just going to look at the time very quickly. Okay, we still have time. So when you click on admit, then you would have your patient right here on the screen, and you can toggle of the display. So either you want to see side to side, or you want to see the whoever is speaking. If you're more than one, then it will go to whoever is speaking on your screen. So the button is on the top right, and again you have the chat. So in the chat, you will have also the file transfer. And the file transfer, you can transfer what type of documents can you transfer? It can be documents like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF. It could be images files. It could be sound files, video files. So it's up to you whatever type of clinic you're doing. That could be very useful. For example, those who will use for sleep apnea. Well, the parent at home could use this to transfer you the recording of the kids that are snoring. So they can securely do a file transfer with you with this here. You would have a participant again, like I mentioned here. The invite, you decide who to invite. Just to let you know, the screen doesn't show it here, but those who have the license of Zoom, once you click on invite, you will be able to actually also search all the other health professionals that are now part of the Zoom MSSS. So this is very interesting. If you want to invite another colleague, you will be able to do so from this screen. Everybody who's within the MSSS Zoom, you will be able, only you, not the patient, only you will be able to see them and invite them if need maybe. Another useful tool that I want to show you is the feature right here. So next to the microphone, there's an up arrow. If you click on it, there's tests of your speakers and microphone. So this is really very useful, especially if it's the first time you're using Zoom. Make sure that you hear the sound. So it's going to, then you can test your headset that it's work properly, and make sure also that your microphone is working properly with this tool. So how do you access? Is you go on here and then test your speaker and your microphone. And lastly, what I want to show you with is the share your screen. So once you click on the share screen, and you will be able to select which application you want to share with your patient. You select the screen, and then you click on share, and then you will be sharing whichever application you wanted to share, and you'll be able to also to annotate. So you can do live annotation. So you're going to have a little tool that will appear, and then you can do some lines and etc. Depending, again, it depends on the clinical domain or that you're using the virtual visit for. But these are tools that are there for you to interact with your patient. You could decide to pause your screen share. So you have the button here to pause and to continue your screen share, and then you have your buttons to stop. So that's that. Lastly, if you have already seen all of your patients of the day of your meeting, you can end the meeting at that point. So how do you do that? Well, you click on end the meeting, and then you will have three options: either end the meeting for all, quit the meeting, or cancel. If you do end the meeting for all, well, that's it. That adjourns the meeting of today, and everybody who's on the call of the meeting will exit the meeting. If you click on exit the meeting, then you, the host, will be removed, but the patients or whoever's still on the call will be able to still continue the meeting. So again, it's you who decides, but these are the options that you will have. So that's what I have to show you in terms of the interface of Zoom. Again, this is a tool that is there for you online. I know I went really fast on the different key points, but it's online. And how do you access it? You go on msss.zoom.us, and you go on info here below, and on info, then you would have interactive, and then it's going to launch this interactive tutorial. We put some help notes in there, but those who really want to test drive the application, it's here. So you click test drive. I'm not able to do it while we're on the webinar, because otherwise it's going to take over and close the webinar, but it's there for you. So you click on test, you can actually start the application without a license. So that don't do any teleconsultation with that test. Huh? So it's really just for you to test it out. So let's go back to the presentation. All right, here. Okay, conducting a telehealth encounter. So again, this is just a review. You start the encounter, you go on meetings, you do start, and then again, make sure you inform your patient what happens if it's disconnect. I'm not. By the way, you also have to identify your patient, but I leave it to you to properly identify your patients. But just make sure you explain a backup in case it happens, and also make sure that the participant microphone and audio and camera works properly. But this, again, with this, if the patient, if they were giving enough time, they will be able to do their tests on their own and before you have the meeting with them, and just to make sure there's less issues. You can share the screen if you need, and you can chat and share files if you need during a consult. At the end of the consultation, you have to, well, just note that you and your patient will be presented automatically with a online survey form. It's a quick online survey. It's just to do continuous improvement of the service. So it's gonna pop up. It's a small online survey that you can fill in. Otherwise, you must in your patient records, you must document which modality you use, which application you use. Was it Zoom? Was it React? Was it Teams even? Because that might be a solution that might be coming also. Indicate that you have obtained the verbal consent of your patient. This is very important. So please have this on your notes in your after your consult. So this is the other website that I would strongly invite you to bookmark. So it's telesante.quebec. And or you have here the full link, so Réseau Télésanté CHUM. But if you type in telesante.quebec, you will be redirected here. And this is a really a central point where you would have quick access to all the other virtual modalities. You have React, you have Microsoft Teams, which is being deployed, and also will be able to be using for a virtual consult. And you have Zoom, and you will have also in the future other applications that will be made available here. So there's going to be useful information there, frequently asked questions as well, best practices. So if you bookmark this, you'll be making sure that you have the latest information. In terms of the next step, again, this is the first webinar of Zoom. We're planning on making more than one because today, as you can see, it's really an overview of the consultation, what are the best practice, how to use Zoom. But the next webinar is really going to depend on the feedback that we're going to be collecting as to which information we're going to be gearing it to. Already we have collected information, feedback from Tuesday and Thursday, but please fill in the survey at the end of this webinar because it's going to help us improve this webinar and also improve the other webinar as well. We want to dig more into some details of Zoom, which details is up to you. Um, and so that's for the training phase 2 and the frequently asked questions. So again, all the questions that we're going to be having today, we're going to put it online with the answers. Right now it's in development, but we're going to put it online very shortly so you can refer to it again and again. And if you have other questions by email or online, we're going to put it there for everybody to be able to access it. So